Hey, what's up, guys? Mr. Davidian, and today we're doing a review of what we covered week 3 at Tackwitz High School for 10th grade English.
Okay, Monday we began a new story called A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury, the same author who wrote The Pedestrian. And obviously, I'm going to give students a cutout of one of the animals in the story, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we're going to make a pop up, and we'll show you that a little later. So, as we read the story, we first discuss our essential question: what makes stories exciting? And we have a couple different main details here that we discussed and pasted this particular handout into our notebook, and also how the story is told. So we have what was said and how it was said. And obviously, our last question is why was it a good story? We have the author's purpose, different effects the author was trying to make, and then, of course, you have to have your opinion. So, as we read Sound of Thunder as a class the first day, we read together and we took notes. Every time we saw a literary element, we wrote it down. We wrote down some details or a specific quote, and then we use effects verbs to quickly add a quick explanation of why the author wrote. So, day one, we talked about how a bunch of guides were killed on their journey to the past to go kill dinosaurs. And obviously, we have some imagery that creates anticipation. On the second page of the story, we had these other types of notes here. And so, the main thing that we've been working on is using effects verbs to explain or give commentary of our quote on the effect that the quote has or the reason why the author used it. And so we worked on that on day 2. So the students had to finish reading page 3 and 4 of the story. And so these are some of the notes that they probably got. There was a sound of thunder, the oily insect skin of the dinosaur looked crazy. It painted a picture of how momentous the dinosaur was. And so we wrote all these notes down. Now on page 4, I'm going to keep some of those notes covered up because that's personal. Actually, it's the ending of the story. I don't want to kill it for you. So finish page 4 on your own.
But this mantis has a surprising line in self-defense. Kung Fu, praying mantis style.
Okay, so the beginning warm-up for day 3, we had students write down their opinion of what made the story a good story. And so here, we have the area for the foldable. You can stick it at the top of the page or you can stick it at the bottom, depending on where you put it. Just make sure you have room for your opinion on the opposite side. And then, of course, it looks like this. And you can color it, and then however the ending of the story was, you can draw that picture here. And there it is. Okay, day 4. Students entered the room and they wrote down these topic sentences near their notes. They wrote down this one about imagery, this one about figurative language and suspense, above page 2 notes. Oh, I'm sorry. And they also wrote down these transitions on the side of their notes. Then they wrote this last topic sentence above page 3 and 4 notes, just before the climax, and of course, their author's purpose. And they added some transitions as well. And so, what this was the easiest essay students have ever written. I said, hey, these 3 sentences, by putting topic sentences and then by putting transition words next to your notes, you pretty much made an entire essay with 3 sentences and a bunch of transitions. So pretty much we were reiterating that if you already have your details or quotes and the effects verb followed by a commentary or explanation, if you add transition words and you add topic sentences, you have a full essay. So I just try to encourage the students that this is the easiest essay that they will ever write, just by adding topic sentences and transitions. So hopefully you could do the same. Friday, we asked students to go back to an essay they wrote 7 days ago. Well, actually, they copied it in their notebook. And if you remember week 2, we did the pedestrian essay, 4 paragraphs. And so today, students were highlighting by underlining the pedestrian essay with these 3 colors. They can underline their transitions, probably with yellow or a pencil, doesn't matter. Underline quotes and details in green, and then underline effects verbs or explanations in orange. So it should look something like this. This was an older pedestrian version of the essay. but this essay that students wrote this week looked like this. And so I kind of put a couple of these up there for the students, and then we kind of model for them, hey, you have your effects verbs, you have your green commentary or details, and you have your transition words underlined. And so that was paragraph 2. We didn't do it for paragraph 1 because obviously it was our intro. So we went to paragraph 3. So if you're watching this video, why don't you try to do it? Where are your transitions? Where are your quotes or details? And where are your effects verbs? All right, let's see if you're right. Oh, I guess. All right, let's see if you're right. All right, so as you see here, we have illustrates, portrays, and warning us about the future, and revealing. Also, you have all your transition words. Now, the main teaching that I taught the students was, look at all your transition words. They're all different. We didn't reuse, for example, we didn't reuse also, we didn't reuse furthermore. We only use these transition once. So if you go back through the essay from the beginning, we constantly use different transitions, and we use different effects or different effects verbs. Suggest, showing, describe, hinting. Then we go through and it's illustrates, portrays, reveals, warns. And the last one is makes us see, inspires us, highlights, and implies, and challenges. And of course, we have besides, for instance, by the same token, simply put, however, and all these good transitions as well. The point was that you don't want to say the same transitions. Use synonyms. In the same way, don't use the same effects verbs. Use synonyms. If you're going to always use the word shows, oh, this shows this, or this reveals this, oh, and this shows this, oh, and this reveals this, then you only know 2 words and you just keep going back and forth. So, got to use synonyms for your transitions and for your effects verbs. All right. And so that's what we worked on Friday. And then, of course, the end of Friday, if students didn't finish cutting out their stuff, they were supposed to finish their wow. All right, and so once students finish all their notes, they can go ahead and continue working on cutting out, coloring, and gluing their Tyrannosaurus Rex into their notebook. Now, Friday, I started on Thursday with my honor students. Last but not least, now Thursday, with my honor students, we began reading another Bradbury story called There Will Come Soft Rains, another dystopian society. So it was kind of a sad story about the future. So you have to check that out. Obviously, it was only a page and a half, 2 pages of reading. And so students were supposed to answer 2 questions. What narrative elements made the story exciting? And what was the author's purpose? Now, with my regular sophomores, it was tough for them to actually do this, but they did do it as well, if they were already done with all their other stuff. So, anyway, that's an overview of what we covered week 3 here at Talkwoods High School. We hope that you had a good week. Now you guys are starting to get into some more of the complex writing and reading strategies that we're using. And so hopefully this has been a good model for you. If you have any questions, you can always rewatch the videos, or hopefully we'll see you soon at Talkwoods. Take care. Last but not least, on Friday, after students highlighted their effects, verbs, transitions, and details, we had them update their table of contents in their spiral notebook. And so it'll look something like this. Make sure you put your page numbers in the very top right corner of your notebook pages. So if wherever your pages are, probably the top corners. So make sure you have your page numbers. Now, 1 through 3, for me, in my notebook, it was the transitions in our autobiography, then it was figurative language, then it was the pedestrian essay, which we covered again. We have effects verbs also on page 7, but I didn't waste another line with effects verbs. I just stuck it on line 3 with the pedestrian because it kind of went with the same topic. Then on line 4, I have a sound of thunder. And so hopefully you guys have your table of contents updated. Now the fun part about this assignment is right here where it says revisit or highlight, put a check mark. And so if we revisited the pedestrian, we can put a check. If we revisited Sound of Thunder, which was we had students highlight effects verbs, put a check. If you study transition words, you can put a check on that one. And during our competition for 23 figurative language, we kind of had to go back and study our figurative language notes. Put a check on that. So we put one check mark. Later on, if we ever have to go back, we put another check mark. But this is a good average strategy on every 7 days or 5 days to go back and review certain things that we've learned so we can master it. All right, guys, have a great week. We hope to see you soon at Talkwitz.
But there's still a long way to go. With a bit of luck, in 2 months' time, it will be as big and beautiful as this orchid man did. Or maybe not.